Hey, folks, we are live, and by we, I mean myself and my son,
Crowded Attic 400.
Crowded Attic 400. Now, for those of you that maybe forget the story of how Crowded Attic 400 got his name, Thomas, give them a brief recap of the story.
Okay, so the brief recap is my parents apparently had like about 1,000 children. They crammed them all in an attic, and they had a video game tournament. And the ones who won the video game tournament, it was a PvP thing. So pretty much anyone who survived in the PvP would be able to go downstairs and have breakfast. Would be able to have pancakes, cake, and ice cream, while everybody else would just have a hot dog. So I ended up winning 5 times in a row, so I got to live down here outside the attic. And it
So,
was so crowded up there,
so
so
there's a
that's why.
thousand people in the attic, and you won 5 times. So where's the 400 in your name come from? This isn't even
I'm the
making any sense.
400th children.
You're the 400th children out of 1,000.
I'm the 400th child out of
You were
1,000.
you were my 400th child out of 1,000. Okay, all right, okay, all right. You heard it, internet. He's my 400th child out of 1,000. So anyway, so that story, of course, is totally not true. But we are
It's
going to be
just a little
covering actually a
backstory.
handful of things that are true on the show today. One of those is we're going to talk about Gears of War Ultimate Edition and what we think so far of the couch co-op on this game. And we're also going to be talking a bit about Fortnite. So Crowded Attic is going to be giving us a bit of details on the latest Fortnite update that just recently hit and what you can expect.
It literally hit today,
It
and I'm
literally hit today.
bam. Oh, geez, that hurt.
Yeah.
All right. Anyway, but
So, but before we get to that, we're also going to be. I got to give them the whole overview, my friend. We're
oh
also going to be
yeah,
talking about the Detroit Become Human demo that
oh
recently came
yeah.
out, or at least I'll be because I've played it, and so far, Crowded Attic has not. So first, I guess we'll jump right into the Fortnite news because I know that you're super eager to share with us the latest update for Fortnite.
So I haven't played it. I haven't seen it for myself, but all the information I got is from my best friend who played it today. So I'm not gonna reveal his name, but I'm just gonna say, if you're watching, you're welcome. Anyway, um, so the update is a little bit of information from before the update. They have this little news section where it tells you about things that come soon or things that are new. And it mentions season 4 coming soon, brace for impact. And
Now,
Connor told
a
me
lot of people had speculated that there was a
Tilted
comet in the sky,
Towers.
right? And
Yeah.
people speculated Tilted Towers would be the impact site for the meteorite. But this turned out to not be the case, right?
Well, sort of. So the update, it came with a little video. It was really cool. It had like some of the Fortnite skins, and it
Okay.
was like all the meteors are falling onto different places. At the end, it's really funny. I'm not gonna spoil it at all because I don't want to spoil that little video that pops up.
All
But
right.
it's just really funny at the end. But the map has changed, but don't worry, Fortnite fans. It's not completely changed. There's still a lot of the old stuff that you guys love. And Tilted Towers did actually get hit. It's just not as major as the other place, which I'll reveal soon. So, my friends,
So
like,
Tilted Towers actually did get hit then.
yeah, it did, but
Oh, okay, okay, okay.
only like only if about 1 to 2 buildings were actually affected, and it's just a crater that like it's Tilted Towers is still mostly intact. There's just a few buildings have been destroyed, like about like 2, I think. And uh what's funny is Tilted Towers, as any of you Fortnite players know, it's the most popular area because of its high loot spawns. And it's also the place where people fail or succeed in training themselves how to kill people under pressure, because like literally you'll see half the game going there. Well, my friend Connor's saying that because his gamer tag's Connor S. Grant. That's
Right.
his gamer tag, not his name. My friend Connor was telling me that he went to Tilted Towers and he was expecting to see like a crap ton of people, and he was loading up, and he was like getting more loot than usual, and he's all like, okay, lock and load. And then like he's on squads and there's only like one person there, and he kills that person. And he has Fortnite's famous spot
Yeah.
all to himself practically. He also found out that there are many craters scattered throughout the map where the meteorites and comets hit, and they're pretty small, but you'll find these little crystal things that when you consume them,
Crystal
you'll
meth?
no, it's
Oh,
not drugs.
okay. All right.
But it's like these little crystals that when you consume them, they actually allow you to jump super high. And like my friend was just jumping around. He was using his tactical shotgun to shoot people in the head as he was jumping around while they were just stuck on the ground, unable to jump that high.
So do we know if this is going to be like a timed type thing, or is this like a permanent add-on to the game? Do you know?
It seems to be a permanent add-on to the game. Like it,
Gotcha.
or well, I wouldn't say permanent, but it's more permanent than modes like 50v50 or high explosives mode or sniper shootout mode, because this is like something that like it affects the entire game. Like it's the map, not a mode. So whether or not it's gonna last permanently, I'm pretty sure at some point they're gonna change it. But for now, you can expect it. So um for those of you who expected Tilted Towers, you're going to be a little bit disappointed because it hit at Dusty Depot. Dusty Depot, it's like this little place. There's like 3 storage houses with decent loot, I guess. It's not such a good location in my opinion.
Well, I guess
It's
that's if you think about it though, that's like the perfect place to hit,
yeah.
right? Tilted Towers was kind of a very popular hangout, so for them to kind of lay waste to that and reduce it to rubble would be kind of a waste of a good spot versus, Dusty Depot, which I think they now call Dusty Divot, right?
Yeah, Dusty
Um,
Divot.
to change up that part of the map, I guess, doesn't really disrupt the game as
Yeah.
much as it adds to the game, right?
Yeah, but Dusty Divot, like Dusty Depot, there's only a few, like there's 1.5 houses left from it, like the storage houses. The rest of it is this giant impact crater that I'm pretty sure should have destroyed the whole island.
Yeah, I want
But
to remind the
in it,
folks that are watching that you can drop some comments in the chat if you want to. Both Crowded Attic and myself are currently monitoring the chat, so if you want to share some of your recent discoveries after the update to Fortnite, and you want to share with us, different exploration that you've
or
done,
anything
things that you've
else,
found, feel free to
you
throw
know.
down in the chat, and we'll throw some of the best comments up here for people to hear. Go ahead.
So, another thing is that what replaces Dusty Depot is actually a little research base, and in the middle of it, there's apparently is what's left of a comet. It and the place is more popular than Tilted Towers has ever been. Like it's super famous because mostly because it's new, but everybody's going there. And like my friend's like he says he's gonna wait until people lose interest in the area, and then he's gonna explore it because the place is worth like there's even less cover than there was in Tilted Towers. Like it's
Gotcha. But everybody wants to
insane.
go check it out, so everybody's running over there, and then they're just getting destroyed, huh?
Yeah. Meanwhile, in Tilted Towers, I don't know if the loot has changed, but I do know you can still get one of those jump crystals, is what I'm going to call them, and some other really good loot.
Yeah.
So,
So, folks that know, Crowded Attic, my son, he plays Fortnite. I do not. I played like 2 games of Fortnite, and one of them I hid in the tree, top of a tree, the whole game, and got 3rd place. So, But Crowd Act's pretty into Fortnite. Now, one of the things that we actually have been playing together though recently is Gears of
Gears
War
of War
Ultimate Edition. This is a remake, a remaster of the Xbox 360 game. It looks absolutely spectacular on the
I know, it was
Xbox One.
awesome.
What's amazing is this is not an Xbox One X enhanced game at all.
And yet it looks like it is.
It does. It really does look like it is. It looks great. It plays pretty good. The only complaint that I have, you can kind of tell on the cover, everybody in this game is like the size of an elephant, right? Aren't they?
Yes.
Like literally, like everybody in this game, like their arms are like the size of my body. Like their bicep is my entire body. And
like they make bodybuilders go to shame.
They do, and now while I'm not trying to crap all over the aesthetic, I do have to say, compared to games like Doom, compared to games like Fortnite, and things like that, even compared to games like Minecraft, these characters move like they're elephants. They don't really move quickly. They kind of like lumber around. And so my only real complaint with the game is that it is kind of a slower pace, but that kind of lends itself to the game tries. Go
You can
ahead.
speed yourself up by rolling, by the way. That's what I always do. That's why I'm rolling around. That's why whenever you call me an idiot for rolling around, I say that's the reason I'm rolling around is so I can get around faster than you so I can win the race that we never agreed to.
So, well, I mean that's fine, right? If I wanted to roll around to get to the destination faster, I would just play Legend of Zelda. There's actually a meme that has him going hut 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 hut. But anyway,
I don't even get
because that is a true thing.
whatever.
That is something that people actually do. They just kind of like jump and roll around in order to move faster. Now, that said, with this game, one of the things that is kind of so I talked about something that I kind of don't like, which is that the characters are kind of like slow and clunky and everything. One of the reasons why that's acceptable in this game is all about kind of taking cover and being strategic as well as tactical.
Yeah, it's and I mean they're covered in armor.
Yeah.
Like if I were to wear that armor, I'd probably die.
Yeah. Now you
It's
actually have the
heavy.
way it works is even when we're playing couch co-op, you have a squad. And so you're playing co-op and you instruct your squad of what to do. If you want them to attack, if you want them to hold position, like what you want them to do. But and the AI is kind of okay at what it does, but really this game is at its best when you're doing some couch co-op with like a human being that you can actually coordinate attacks with. There's one monster who I'm not going to remember the names of these guys, but remember the guy that's
Locusts.
blind that like charges at you.
Oh, the Berserker.
Oh yeah, the Berserker was pretty intense because they put you in. Normally, you're in these wide open spaces, and with the Berserker, they put you in these really closed-in, boxed-in spaces.
And you can't even shoot it with normal guns. Well, you can, but
Yeah,
it won't do anything. It'll just be
yeah, it doesn't
wasting
do
your lead
anything.
on them.
So my two favorite weapons in the game, one of the weapons is that you get, I think it's a couple levels in, but then once you get it, you can just keep collecting ammo. So I like the fact that the ammo that you get is relevant to whatever weapon you're currently holding. So if you find a weapon that's kind of your favorite, you can stick with it. So my personal favorite is the shotgun.
I love that thing. Shotguns in gaming are the best. Like in Terraria, shotgun is amazing, especially if you have like those chlorophyte bullets because it does insane damage. In Doom, the shotgun is amazing. In
Oh yeah.
Fortnite, the shotgun can one-hit people. And in Gears of War, the shotgun can freaking tear the enemy's face off before they know what hit them.
Yeah. Yeah. Thomas, Crowded Attic here started laughing because I burst out laughing because I turned around, somebody was rushing me, and I had the shotgun and I shot them, and Crowded Attic goes, "Dad, what's so funny?" I go, "This guy, this monster, this creature ran at me, so I shot him in the face, and then he didn't have a face anymore." It's not really that funny.
It's I guess it's more funny if you were to play the game.
Yeah, yeah.
But
In the
what's
context
also
of the
a
game, it
real
was kind
funny
of funny.
thing
Because it was
A
like,
real funny
oh,
thing.
person like ran at me and I pointed my shotgun at his face and then he didn't have a face anymore. But...
A real funny thing though is once I shot somebody in the face with a shotgun, and their arms fell off.
yeah, the hit detection, right? Like the animations. The
Their
animations
arms
are
just
kind of
fell off.
pre-baked. Right. So that is kind of
That
funny.
was
You shoot somebody in the face and their arm falls off.
also
Now,
love
generally speaking, though, the graphics are amazing. The weapons are pretty good. I feel like the weapons are reasonably powered. Like we've been playing before we started playing Gears of War. We were actually playing Army of Two, right?
that game is nowhere near as cool as Gears of War is.
Yeah.
I mean, in that game, I have a shot. Well, I didn't have a shotgun. I don't have a shotgun at all. But like in that game, I can't freaking take somebody's face off and then laugh at them.
Yeah,
Or
that
make their
game,
arms
all the
fall off.
weapons in Army of Two, all the weapons in that game just felt severely underpowered. Even when you fully upgrade
Yeah.
them, right? They just didn't seem to have this. Where like all the weapons in this seem to have a a nice,
Overpoweredness. They're
yeah,
OP.
they definitely seem to be that way sometimes. Especially one of my favorite weapons in the game is unfortunately a weapon that's kind of gimmicky. Like the game will only let you use the weapon during very specific scenes to kill very specific enemies. Now technically, if there's other enemies running around, the weapon
You
will
can
work
kill
against
them.
them too. But mostly it's like, okay, there's these big monsters, like Crowded Attic said, that you can't really attack with any other weapons. And so suddenly, like the criteria is perfect, and you can use this weapon. It's the Hammer of
It's called
Dawn.
the Hammer of Dawn, and
That
it's
is the
like
most badass name for a weapon I have ever heard in
I
a
know,
game, right? The Hammer
like
of Dawn.
it sounds like something from like a Thor movie or something
Yeah,
like
it
that.
sounds like something Thor would obsess about in his next movie. Like, oh, I'm from Asgard and I'm looking for my hammer. I call it the Hammer of
Listen,
Dawn. And Loki has taken and run off with my hammer. Have you seen my hammer?
of Dawn.
That's like every single Thor movie is him looking for his hammer and crying that he doesn't have his hammer.
So Listermate 2 says, "Sup? Yes. Dot dot dot. Kill all the enemies."
Yes, yes. So Lister, hey, welcome, my friend. I'm sorry that we've been out for a while. I've been handling some family stuff, but I've definitely missed you folks. So some of you may not recognize Crowded Attic. We had him on the show a couple shows ago. He's my son. We're both gamers into sometimes we're into the same games like Gears of War. Other times
I'm into Fortnite and he's into Super Mario Bros.
of all the games I play, like that's
All
the
the
only one.
enemies, all of them.
It's
He
like this
says.
reach back into the annals of your memory. Like what is it that Dad likes? I don't understand. It's something old. Like no, like so. Crowded Attic. Give him a bit of like give him a list of some of the games that are up your alley.
Honestly, if I can, I like playing Fortnite. I like playing Star Wars Battlefront 1. I like playing Minecraft, Terraria, Lego Worlds on occasion. It's one of those games where I just mess around in it. When I feel like it, I play Little Big Planet. It's really cool. Somebody made an artificial intelligence on that.
Oh, that's pretty cool. Wow, Lister's mate says that he's been playing Pokemon Go and he's lost 20 pounds in a month.
Wow.
That's pretty impressive.
That's even better
That's
than what Wii Fit could possibly do.
I know that's some serious Pokemon going.
Yeah.
So yeah, the Hammer of Dawn, really nice weapon in this game. It's kind of like you control this satellite and you paint the target, so you shoot you aim a laser beam onto the target, and then literally this giant beam of fire comes down from the sky and just incinerates the hell out of whatever you're highlighting. And if you move it around, the pillar of fire will move around to follow whatever it is that you're painting with the laser. So that's kind of neat. What sucks about it though is that you have to have an open sky and things like that, and the conditions have to be exactly right, and they're only ever exactly right when the game wants you to use that weapon as the only weapon that can affect an enemy. How convenient.
Yeah,
So
that's pretty much why I don't even bother picking it up. I'd
yeah,
rather use my long shot rifle and my shotgun to obliterate enemies. I mean, honestly, Hammer of Dawn's pretty cool.
yeah.
Like it could rip somebody's face apart, but honestly, the shotgun is more impressive because it can rip people's faces off.
The shotgun is pretty darn impressive. So Gears of War, pretty good couch co-op. One of the other things is that there's 4 games in the series plus a couple expansions, I think, to the earlier games. If you get
Yeah,
Gears of War Ultimate Edition, it actually includes digital codes for all the other Gears of War games, many of which have since been upgraded for Xbox One X compatibility, and all of which contain couch co-op. So I'm looking forward to
playing
Crowded
the
Attic and
entire
I
quadrilogy.
playing through the entire quadrilogy. Yeah, exactly.
That's assuming that I'm assuming that word even exists.
I think it does now. So another game I've recently played, and Crowded Attic, you didn't have a chance to play this one yet, but I think
Detroit Become Human.
maybe what we'll do is maybe we'll stream this game in an upcoming episode, and I'll let you play the game through for the first time, and we'll stream your first impressions of the game, maybe. So
Okay,
yeah, the game is
I'm down to
Detroit
that.
Become Human.
Like I
It's
said.
Yep. So the game is Detroit Become Human by Quantic Dream, and there's a lot of hype surrounding this game. Two E3s in a row. They showed some
Whoa.
spectacular trailers for this game, and the game actually started with a tech demo. They made a tech demo for the game for the PlayStation 3 actually, and they were just trying to show off their software and the rendering engine and what they could do, and they ended up making just a tech demo basically that was so compelling to people that people begged them to make a game for the character and begged them to build a wider story. And so they've done that. There's been some controversy over the game. One of
It
the
may
first
actually have the ESRB create a new rating system. Or, sorry, a new rating for
a
the
new
rating
rating,
system.
yeah. So, Australia is talking about potentially, in UK, we're talking in December and January about potentially banning the game. I don't think any of that actually got any steam, any traction. But for a
Although
while there,
some people want Fortnite to be banned just because, like, and these are people who don't want who haven't even played it. So, I mean,
it's typically
they're
people that
trying to
haven't
ban
played
it
the game
for,
that want the game banned. Yeah.
yeah, because it's
So,
popular. So,
but
it's probably the same case here.
people just not understanding what they don't know, and rather than trying to figure it out and understand it, they decide to
Ban it, ban it,
ban it.
ban it.
Yeah. So one of the things that's really nice about the Detroit demo is that the E3 video that they gave, the E3 trailer that they showed 2 years ago of the hostage negotiation scene is now fully playable. So you can actually play it, explore all the different outcomes, and the mechanics of the game is very well polished. The demo is in 4K on the PS4 Pro. It's upscaled 4K, so it's checkerboard rendering and that kind of stuff. But still, it looks really, really good. It plays at a solid frame rate. I couldn't notice any frame dips or drops. The game looks spectacular. The demo is supposedly using the final assets of the full game. So if you're kind of curious or on the fence of whether or not you're going to like the game, like the mechanics, the only thing I'm really going to say is that the downside of the demo is if you've watched the E3 trailer of the
It
hostage negotiation scene,
spoils it.
it spoils the entire demo. Like you basically know everything that's going to happen in the demo with one or two minor things that maybe you didn't see. If you haven't seen the trailer yet, download the demo, play the demo, then watch the trailers. Um,
Yeah.
but
The
if
demo
you're
is basically the interactive trailer, and it's way more fun
yeah
than watching the trailer. And this is, I haven't even played the game, and I know this.
yeah. Now I will say that even if you've seen the trailer, um, still download the demo, give it a shot.
Yeah.
It's a really good way to see if you're gonna like the game and the way it plays and the way the mechanics work. Personally, it's definitely a must buy. I've already got it pre-ordered. So I should be getting that on May 25th, coming up here this month when it comes out later. So I'm really looking forward to it. And what's really interesting is it pushes the envelope of what a lot of people debate. Crowded Attic. A lot of people debate whether or not games are art and whether or not games are allowed to talk about things. Like there's actually a scene in the game where there's a father that actually abuses his daughter. He actually beats her because he drinks and all this stuff. And that really disturbed a lot of people when Quantic Dream showed a demo of this game. And there's a scene in this game where the character that you play, you're an android and you're in this house, and the house that you're in, this father is abusive toward his daughter, and he tells you stay there, and then he goes into his daughter's room and just starts beating her. And people were saying like, you can't put that in a game. That's horrible. That's terrible.
And
But
yet people are willing to play games where a shotgun can rip a monster's face off.
I
I
think
call
people's
hypocrisy.
Yeah, but I mean, what are your thoughts in terms of a like? I think the difference is right. Like, there's violence and stuff that's clearly fantasy, and then there's violence that I think people's biggest problem here was that the violence was so real. Like, there are homes, unfortunately,
Honestly,
where parents are
I
abusive
think
to their children.
people need to wake up a bit. There's some people who just think that life has no problems. I mean, I'm not saying everybody is like this, but there's some people out there who need to wake up and see what's actually going on. And I think if like they may not have to deal with situations like this, but it can train them to one, be able to learn learn more about what's actually going on in the world, and two, they'll be able to um they'll be able to make better choices because the game trains them to do that.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. I mean, there's definitely. I think somebody should be disturbed if they see a scene where there's a child being endangered by an adult, and there's another adult that's there doing nothing. But to your point, there are households in which this happens every day, where a husband or a wife, a mother or a father, is being hurtful to their children, and the other just kind of sits there and either looks the other way or watches it happen but says and does nothing. And I'm not here to pass judgment on those families or those people because I'm not personally there. I don't know all the things that they're trying to deal with and cope with. But at the same time, if it's disturbing in a game, to your point, Thomas, uh, how much more disturbing is it in real life? And so I think the game gives people an opportunity to kind of understand what the victims maybe go through, to understand, how these situations, right, evolve. I certainly wouldn't say that the game should be used as like what you do in the game, try to do in real life, like because I mean it's a lot more complicated than that. But I do
Yeah.
I do think to have somebody see that experience and go, wow, like how could you just stand there? How could you be still? How could you not take action? When if they like you said, if they wake up and realize, oh my goodness, this happens in my community, this happens in my town, this happens in my church or wherever they may be. Like there's people that may do this. If I do see this, or if I do become aware of this, am I going to be silent? Or am I going to say something? And so I think the game is really good to your point of getting this like exposure.
Message across to people.
Yeah, getting the message to people and getting people talking about like what do you think should happen, right? Like how do you think situations like this should be handled? And for some people, to your point, this may be the only exposure they get to that kind of an issue, right? I mean, you're
There's
not
some
in that
people
kind of a
who,
household personally,
yeah,
so
there's even some people who they may have internet, but they aren't able to know things like with the news. Listermate 2 says it's a double-edged sword when it comes to domestic abuse. I believe in the artistic value of it because it's part of the storyline, but things really are happening, so you should be concerned.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
That's
I would agree with that
that's a
assessment.
very important thing that many people should know.
Oh yeah, oh yeah, and one of the things too is I think is what is the intent of the game, right? Like I didn't get the impression that Quantic Dream in making this game is trying to say, oh, check it out, right? Like abuse of children. This is great. This is wonderful. You should do it all the time. Like it's
No,
definitely not trying to do that. Like
they do
the
not condone that.
right, exactly. They're trying to show like, hey, look, like this is disturbing, right? And if we look at what the game is, what Detroit Become Human is, it's a game about androids. It's a game that's set in the future, and it's about androids basically developing emotions and becoming sentient, becoming like individuals, and learning that they exist, and that and starting to feel maybe inklings of what it means to be alive. And so if you think about it, like that would be the kind of situation to do that. Somebody says, stand there, don't move. And then you see them go in this room and you hear yelling and you hear screaming and you hear somebody in pain that you're built and programmed to protect. Like that's gotta spark something, right? If you're just a machine, then yes, maybe you could just stand there and literally do nothing. But one of the things that I kind of like, and I'm going to put this out there for people, is so the demo that they gave of Kara. Kara is the female character. So there's three different characters that you'll play in the full version of Detroit. You only get to play one of them in the demo. One of them is Connor, the other is Kara, and I don't remember the name of the third gentleman because he was introduced late in the game. But basically, uh, you know, these are
The
um,
choices that you make as one character can affect the entire story of another character.
yeah,
So, like for instance, let's say you end up getting yourself killed as Connor, and then when you play as Kara, you end up needing Connor, but Connor's dead. So you like it really does affect the storyline. So
Yeah, not
what
sure
you
how much, right? Haven't directly played the game, but we are
yeah.
told that the stories can kind of intermingle at certain points. So we'll have to check that out and get back to you guys on that in terms of how deeply that goes. But one of the things that I thought was interesting is that the concept of the game in the demo, when you play the demo, you'll notice that there's certain choices that you can make that when you make them, there's this glitch on the screen that says, software instability. And so but if you make a different choice, that glitch never happens. And so it seems to be interesting, is that these machines that are glitching and becoming kind of more human and self-aware, it's based on your choices. So a lot of the default choices would have them just be like going through the motions and do right very basic things. So an interesting thing that Quantic Dream has seemed to have done is that you are the glitch, my friends. When you're playing the game and you're making these choices and you're deciding, does the robot just stand there or does it do something? Does the robot, there's a fish in the demo and you get to decide, do you save the fish that you find on the
or
floor,
or do you let it die?
or do you just let it die? And one choice versus the other, right, introduces that instability. Do you
I'd save the
have
fish.
all right, so you have to see if that leads to instability or not. But I thought that was an interesting thing that's kind of subtly put in there, is that like, okay, there's some choices here. If you just go with the default choices, pretty much the default choices are going to do what a robot would do. But any other choices that you make beyond just letting things time out and choosing the default, you're introducing the humanity. You're basically introducing the glitch in the system, and then you're seeing how that plays out. So it was very subtle, but I kind of like the way that they did that. So the game definitely looks like it's got some deeper dimensions than just choose your own adventure type thing. Um, there's other actions that you can do in the demo that'll briefly show you like what public opinion is toward androids. And so it looks like over the course of the overall story, there's things that you can do that can put people in favor with or at odds to the agenda of the androids and what it is that they're trying to do and accomplish. So it looks like there's a lot more than just choose this and here's the consequences. There's a deeper narrative that they're weaving, and so it makes me super excited to see the game in its full
So
version.
so Lister says in these days you think that people would be able to differentiate between a part of a story to make a point, or if it was blatantly put in there to invoke that kind of behavior? Not always the case.
So now I will say this. I will say I do agree with that in general, Lister. And I see where you're coming from, but I do think something really interesting is happening that hasn't happened since the Night Trap and Mortal Kombat days. When Night Trap and Mortal Kombat came out, that shocked people and introduced people to gaming
The rating system
realities.
we see now. So,
Right. But that was
like,
basically because people weren't used to like seeing full motion video that was interactive, on their television screens in a video game format. They weren't used to games like Night Trap. They weren't used to games like Mortal Kombat where you see digitized people. They look like real people and they're ripping each other's limbs off and stuff. That was a level of realism and a level of graphic, interaction that we just weren't really ready for. And everything all right over there?
yes,
What happened?
something fell.
All right. Okay. So, but I think what's happened with, I think what's happened with a lot of these more recent games, is that we're entering into a level with 4K gaming and not just that, but just like a lot of these games like Life is Strange, and games like the latest Tomb Raider reboot, where they're getting professional writers to come in and actually write deep character stories with real situations. You're getting games now that have narratives and stories that are just as detailed as the latest blockbuster movie that you might have seen. And I don't know that people are ready for that level of depth and immersion. I know, I haven't seen it yet in Life is Strange, the sequel, Before the Storm, but I did see in the first Life is Strange game, after you get to about episode 3, they actually start putting up trigger warnings and saying like, hey, if you're somebody that can be triggered by seeing, particular types of scenes, you may either not want to play this episode, or you may want to, if this episode affects you in some way, talk to somebody. In fact, here's a hotline, call this number, right? If you're affected in some way that makes you dangerous, or unstable. And we never really had to do that before. So I don't think that there's necessarily something wrong with somebody who's experienced a traumatic event and has experienced trauma and bad things in their life, or in the lives of someone they love, that just isn't ready to see that again. And I think, had they given some sort of trigger warning to folks prior to showing the demo at this last E3 with the domestic abuse part, I think that maybe they would have fared a little bit better because people would have had fair warning. I don't think a lot of people were really expecting to go to E3, sit down, and see, an abuse sequence. And so some people may have been triggered, and I don't necessarily think that all those people should just be called snowflakes and like blown off and everything. I think that it's legitimate now. Games are an art form. I firmly believe that. They can have deep stories. They can be deeper and more immersive than movies, I personally believe. And I think Detroit Become Human is an excellent example of that. I mean, it's the greatest movie I ever played, the demo so far. So, but there's a lot of power there, and there's a lot of potential to really reach people, both for good and for bad, if they're not expecting that the game can go that deep. So, to your point, Crowded Attic, maybe it's time. Maybe it's time for us to reevaluate the rating system, not to ban a game or get it blacklisted or anything like that, but just
Honestly, banning games is
so
just
people know what's
stupid.
in
It's
there.
what the noobs do.
So the noobs,
Yeah, I've
Grammys
learned
are
that from
renowned
playing
noobs.
Minecraft a lot.
Yeah,
Noobs on their worlds, if you beat them in a PvP match, they'll ban you from their game that they're hosting.
yeah.
So you can't join their game anymore. Only because you win and they lose once. So I pretty much learned that if you get banned for no reason, or if like a game gets banned from people who haven't even played it or know what it is, they're noobs.
Yeah, there was a lot
And
of
it's true
people who hadn't played Detroit,
in a sense.
who were just looking to have the game
Mm.
banned because they thought it like glorified abuse. I don't, to
Yeah,
listeners'
yeah,
point,
yeah.
I don't think it's trying to glorify the behavior. I think it's just trying to show, look, this behavior is there, and it would disturb us if we saw it. Hopefully, most of us would want to act. So now, what would happen if you were a machine and you're in this household and you
And you're
encounter this
told to not
behavior
do anything.
and you're told to not do anything? Yeah, would that be a traumatic enough environment and experience to maybe push you to actually break your software, to break your protocol and do something? And then the implications after that. So you're an android, you have no rights, you're in this situation that was a horrible, impossible situation. This kid was getting abused. So like what are your options, right? Like if you kill the father or hurt the father, or if you abduct the kid, all these are going to have real world ramifications for the android, and the android has no rights. So
Apparently.
I think it's a great primer, actually, to a story, about a robot becoming self-aware, wanting to rebel against its master in a non-cliche way. Like we've seen enough like Terminator style things where the robot becomes smart and just says, "Oh, because I'm smart, I think I
I'm
must
gonna
kill you."
kill all the humans.
Right? I mean, nobody has a problem with those narratives, right?
And
But
yet
but but a
people have a
robot
problem
saying
with
like,
robots,
right,
androids being all like, hey, why don't I go help this dude? They're
right.
in trouble. So Lister says, so I guess this game doesn't take into account of Isaac as Asimov's laws of robotics.
In some cases, I think yes, and in some cases, no. Like in the case of the demo that you play, the Android, the demo is you as an Android hostage negotiator, and you're trying to talk down, somebody who's holding a human girl hostage, and the person that's holding her hostage is the
Is a
family's
robot.
house android that's gone rogue. And
Yep.
so, yeah, certainly that one was not Isaac Asimov's laws of robotics safe, the three laws safe. But I would definitely say Kara's character is three laws safe compatible, at least from what we've seen in the demo. She can't bring herself to see harm come to a human, or allow her action or inaction to cause the harm of a human. So
Yeah.
so it's interesting. And Connor
I mean,
himself actually remains to be seen. It looks like Connor has the potential to have software instability or not, depending on how you play him through the game.
but the I think the reason why there are even the laws of robotics are so that they can be broken.
Well, that's what makes for an interesting story, right?
Yeah.
Like if the
I
story
mean,
was like, oh, there was this robot and there were these three laws and the robot obeyed all three laws, like
the end. I pass out. 5 seconds later, I cease to exist from boredom.
it's better than in Gears of War where they cease to exist because of shotgun. So
Cease to exist because of shotgun.
that was my
That's a
favorite.
good one.
That was
That's
my favorite.
that's my all-time favorite weapon and my all-time favorite thing to use to kill enemies in the game.
Yes.
Kill them! Kill all the enemies!
So, folks, we're coming up close on time, and I want to just share with you some of the upcoming games that are coming out. So, we already talked about May 25th. We got Detroit Become Human coming out. Another game coming out is the Shantae physical copies for the Nintendo Switch are going to be coming out this month, if my Amazon pre-order information is to be believed. And then I think even, let me check. I
Lister
think
says, yeah, that's the entire point of the movie book I, Robot. It was about Asimov's laws of robotics.
yes. So I just want to double check and see what other games we have coming out, this month. I think there's one more, but I don't want to.
Did you know there's a game called Little Big Planet 4 on the PlayStation 5? I'm kidding.
Nay, I think you're not telling the truth on that one, my
I'm
friend.
kidding. What about Battlefront 3 on the Xbox 2X?
All right, all
Or,
right, all right.
I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Okay, I'm glad I didn't mention the other game because the other game I thought was coming out this month is actually not coming out till July 13th. So, Octopath Traveler is the other game I was thinking about, but according to Amazon, this item will be released on July 13th. So, Octopath
Ouch.
Traveler is a really good game. It's by Square and the same folks that made the Bravely Default games for the 3DS. They're working on this game called Octopath Traveler for the Nintendo Switch. So,
Now, whether or not Octopath Traveler has anything to do with either 8 pads or an octopus, I don't know.
no, you could pick one of 8 people to play the game as, and each person can get through the game in a different way. They have a different set of they have a
So,
different
kind of like Maniac Mansion, where depending on who you pick, it depends on how the game is played.
That's true. Yes,
Alright.
that's the idea behind the game. So, other things that folks have been kind of talking about on the interwebs is that on December 31st of this year, or at least that's what's showing on Amazon, Shenmue 1 and 2 will be coming out.
What is Shamu? Is it like some cow?
Not Shamu,
Oh.
Shenmue. So
Oh.
Shenmue is
Okay.
it was a Sega Saturn game, I believe, but they're remaking and remastering those games for the PlayStation 4. So, um, so yeah, lots of really good games coming out. I want to make sure Shantae Switch. I want to make sure that I got that right.
Correct.
Yeah, so the ultimate, they call it the ultimate day one edition. Now, here's what's really neat about this. This is Shantae Half Genie Hero physical edition for the Switch, and even though it's coming to the console late, this is literally the last console to get the release. They already had it in digital, but in physical, it's the last console to get a physical release of the game. But
Mm.
what's really cool is this is the only release of the game that has all of the content. There's a bunch of DLC, extra characters, extra costumes, some extra missions that have been released after the initial game came out. The Switch is going to have all of this
All that for
together.
free. Well,
So
not free. You have to buy the game,
yeah,
but
you have to buy the
still.
game,
It's like
but
one of those
that's
buy
coming
one
out.
get one free deals. It's you still have to spend money, so you don't actually get one free.
Yes,
Oh, so
but
Lister says Shamu, like the dolphin. So apparently there's a dolphin named Shamu.
so Shantae will be out May
Yeah.
8th,
Ooh,
2018, folks.
that's
So, I think we're coming up on time. Before we go, I do want to throw out there, Lister shared with us the game Peggle is free on Orion right now, he says. Do you mean Orion or do you mean Origin? I think you might mean Origin.
mm,
Let me log into Origin and see.
I thought your Origin account doesn't work because they think that your username is used by somebody else.
No, my
Oops,
Origin
Origin.
account.
He says Origin. He says Origin. You don't need to check.
Yeah, okay. He says Origin. So,
Thank you.
thank you very much, Lister, for that. So, folks, if you want to get it for free on Origin, Peggle is actually a pretty good game. We have it for the PlayStation 3, and it's basically like a Plinko type game, like a Breakout, like a cross between Breakout for the Atari 2600 and Plinko, that you'd play at like a casino or something like that. But it's a good game. The graphics are good. The gameplay is somewhat addicting. So it's a nice way to kill some time. So to get it for free, I like free.
Yeah, free is good, except
Yeah.
for when the thing that's free is a cheap piece of garbage. Like,
Wise
be a
words
free
from Crowded Attic. That is how, my friend. That is how, even though you were a child, 400 of 1,000. That is how you rose to the top of the heap.
because everybody else got free guns, but in the game, but I got them by beating them mercilessly with my fists, and then taking their guns, and then using them to destroy all the other people in the game. so I would rise and become the victorious champion 5 times in a row.
Nice. All right, my friend. Well, it's time for us to close tonight, and it's time for Thomas to go back in the attic.
Oh man, I don't want to. Well, I thought the deal was I stay here, not in the attic.
Sorry, my friend.
You owe me
Sorry.
$100.
I don't. I need more room for my games.
Why don't you put them in the attic instead of me?
Because I love my games.
Okay, I'll be right back.
Alrighty. Crowded Attic, thank you very much for being on the show again tonight, giving us all the updates on Fortnite.
Yeah.
I'm sure our Fortnite fans enjoyed that. Folks, check out Origin if you have it, and you can grab Peggle for free. So you can still check us out on Twitter and YouTube if you want to check out some of the other details. We will be back in another week or so with another episode of Retro Reload. If there's things in particular that you want us to talk about regarding some of your favorite games or current events, let us know on Twitter. Let us know in comments on Doodly Doo. How do you feel about Dusty Divot? Do you think that it's an upgrade to Dusty Depot?
I do. I haven't even been there, and I do. Like Dusty Depot is just so small. Like if you get there and somebody else gets there, the chances of you getting loot are pretty slim. But here, it's a much bigger area. I mean, still, chances of getting loot when everybody else is getting there is pretty slim. But it's far better chances of getting loot than it was when it was originally there, and it looks way cooler. That's what my friend says anyway. I don't know what it looks like. I just know it looks like an impact trader.
Well, later this week, hopefully you'll be able to confirm, right?
Maybe tomorrow, because tomorrow's my birthday, and I
Nice.
get unlimited video games, and I don't have to do any school work or go anywhere or anything like that. I get to eat cake.
Birthday.
I get to shred some wrapping paper.
All right.
So, sounds pretty good.
So, folks, tune in later. If you can't wait, we still got some. Go through our back catalog. I'm sure we've got plenty of things in there that you will enjoy. Until then, take care.
All right.